Okay, let's take a look at Google stock. Obviously, one of the bigger stocks in the market had quite a powerful move up in the past few months. Where is the stock likely to go from here? Well, let's take a look. So the first very interesting thing to note on this stock is if we draw a trend line from these highs here all the way through these highs here, you actually end up tagging the prices that Google has recently headed to, around $345. Now, in my book, that is probably not a coincidence, and I imagine smart money essentially used that level as a very nice point to sell off the stock. It's worth noting that once we had broken out from the parallel channel here, I will draw it in for you because I think it is quite interesting. We were in a parallel channel here, price was trading, and eventually managed to break out massively to the upside. So once that parallel channel had played out fully, you did then enter this particular parallel channel. And this is just the magic of technical analysis. We can really better understand price when we can see how price has been moving, which levels it has been respecting, and all the rest of it. So this is, roughly speaking, the parallel channel that we ended up entering once price began to move in a parabolic fashion. Now, of course, we did even break out from this parallel channel, which was much more steep than the previous one, and that's where we then found the final top on the stock all the way up here at $345. Now, the fact that we did reject from that particular level is quite a bearish sign. We have now come back into the parallel channel. We have tested the upside of it and rejected from there. So the base case, in my view, is likely we're going to at least go back to the levels around the midpoint of this parallel channel where you previously did have some kind of support and resistance here. You can see price gapped straight up to the top half of the parallel channel. That's quite often how parallel channels work. If price is below the parallel channel, then you anticipate heading to the bottom of it, and if it's above, then that gives you the strength to move higher and get to the top of the parallel channel. We discussed Nebius stock yesterday, and that had something similar going on. So with that being said, as long as we can stay in the top of this parallel channel, it's possible you can continue grinding higher on Google. The line in the sand essentially then is around $280. If you break below there, you are likely to fall all the way to the bottom of the parallel channel, which would be currently around potentially $235 or so, of course, going up over time. So this is the outlook currently. I would probably be favoring the bearish case in some way, just because you have tagged this trend line up here and rejected from it, rejected again at the top of the parallel channel. That kind of speaks to a sort of distribution, perhaps even a head and shoulders type pattern playing out here, which could send you lower on the stock. But as I said already, we have to remain open-minded to the idea that you could just grind higher here if this is in fact a bit of consolidation going on and not distribution that's going to send you to the bottom of the parallel channel. There are gaps on the chart. Of course, we left a gap behind way down here around $210 or so, and presumably even lower on the chart. So if you were to break this parallel channel, there would be much lower price targets in store for Google, I would imagine, but I only think that would occur if you had a major breakdown of the indices and, in general, a more wider tech sell-off and perhaps bear market for the market overall. If we take a look here at Google versus the S&P, you can see we've traded out of this parallel channel and price doing very, very well in relation to the S&P. So we might see a little bit of underperformance coming back into these sort of levels around this parallel channel if you believe in this sort of TA. Could be an 11% underperformance before potentially going higher. Same can be said of the QQQs. You have also broken out here to, a bigger extent. I would expect probably a pullback, which could be in line with minus 17%. Perhaps we're going to see Google head down to the bottom of the parallel channel, coming all the way down to the bottom of the parallel channel around 20% or so in order to be retesting this particular point on the ratio. That could coincide quite nicely there for a bit of confluence. If you were to head down here on this ratio while simultaneously heading to the bottom of the parallel channel, that might even be a good buying opportunity if you're bullish on the stock market, with Google then heading back up. It's been quite a brutal day in the markets, but I have some very interesting macro thoughts to share with you, which I will post on Sunday, of course, the macro report. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But that's the outlook on Google. Seems to me like you may very well come down to the bottom of the parallel channel here at some stage. Maybe we chop around here a little bit more before that does end up happening. But of course, as I already said, $280 is going to be a key level to hold. With that being said, I hope this video was helpful. Subscribe as always for more daily charts, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.